With Caleb had this wonderful question last month. Um, he said, networking can be difficult to approach. What common topics should be covered when meeting a new connection? How do we approach staying in contact from a practical standpoint? And should we come at it from a wide funnel or small filter standpoint? Um, and that kind of brought me to a place I just whether this is like synchronicity or what, but a number of my clients, coaching clients, are talking about like manifestation. These are all males, which I find really interesting because uh, manifesting, a lot of times I've heard that with from kind of a gender specific. A lot of time women are more in touch with uh, the manifestation idea, but to kind of tie manifesting, which was based on a book that I never read called The Secret, which is I think published in 2006. Um, and how does that connect to networking and our relationships? And what strikes me is just like this idea of law of attraction. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that, but it's basically the energy that you bring into your relationships will make a difference in your connections. And business is really about relationships, right? And so if we have this mind, the growth mindset we've talked about before, this idea of bringing positive energy, the four energies that we talk about, uh, and into building relationships on a variety of levels, uh, it can be very transformative for your career. And so some of these basic principles would be kind of asking the clarity of intention. I really want to connect with someone within my team, someone outside of the team, believing in yourself, these internal states as reality. Like I really want to make this happen. Again, that would be more growth mindset, kind of receiving openness and not attachment to outcomes, which would be allowing networking to have happen as much as possible, and then always kind of practicing gratitude as a uh, as kind of our underlying theme with how we are. Now, um, we broke down, or I broke down kind of the types of networking into three categories, and each one has a different purpose. Um, Number one would be the operational or internal networking. And a little bit like Harry talked about, this intern that might be uh, an internal network opportunity using relationships to kind of focus on a task. A lot of times, networking is task oriented, um, uh, problem focused, and these are kind of the people within your team, within your organization, large organization like Eli Lilly or Abbott, where you might have to cross over to another team. But these are the kind of the people that you're relying on to deliver. A lot of times, this type of networking is a little more manageable and not as daunting because there's the commonality of working for the same company, the same team, and the same task. So we're always networking within this operational internal framework. Now, what becomes more challenging would be the personal or external networking, where this is where we're expanding connections for growth and development. Uh, it's mostly um, uh, kind of going outside of your comfort zone, outside of your team, and uh, it could be built on shared interests, looking for a mentor opportunity, a peer, and learning. Okay. And this is a little more complicated because now you're kind of crossing the divide from your company into another company, and you're taking a risk of rejection, um, uh, the awkward, sometimes the awkwardness of meeting someone, whether it's through LinkedIn or meeting someone at a, convention or at a meeting. Um, and this is kind of where we're trying to really be mindful of, okay, let's bring in some of that love and connected yellow energy, a little more extroverted, and but it has to be positive, right? And that positive energy will allow for that connection to form because basically we're all human. We are we move off of our kind of unconscious initial impression of someone. I really like this person's the way she approached me or he approached me. I like their vibe. I like their level of expertise. And bringing kind of manifesting this kind of positivity is so important for that external type of networking. And then uh, on a kind of grander stage, and there's a little bit of overlap with the three here, but this would be strategic or visionary networking. And this would be something, a networking that sets the direction and shaping your future. It might be a project, let's say, uh, an AI project that someone else is doing, and you've always been interested in AI in medicine, and there's a physician who published a paper, and you're like, wow, this is something that's really kind of uh, energizing me. I'm going to try to connect with this person because it doesn't quite apply to what I'm doing now, but really kind of applies to where I want to be in the future. And these are kind of sponsors and influencers who open completely new doors, right? And so the difference between the that personal networking that's external and the strategic visionary networking is that it's on a larger scale of a real specific kind of passion that you might have or a picture for yourself. Um, and and so that kind of gives us a little bit of like, same with leadership. Like when we think about, okay, what kind of leadership am I bringing into this situation? Am I bringing uh, inspirational leadership? Am I bringing outcomes leadership? Am I bringing a grounded leadership style? Am I bringing relationship leadership style? It's also the same with maybe networking. Like, what kind of networking am I doing here? Is it operational, internal? Is it personal, external? Is it strategic or visionary? And breaking this question down into the wide uh, the funnel approach or the filter, which would be kind of a real specific. Um, the first idea would be it kind of reminds me of like when I used to work a convention back in the pharmaceutical days of like you try to meet everyone, right? A little bit of kind of that sales thing, like talk to everyone, collect contact, used to exchange cards. You're moving into this kind of free form connection. There's not a lot of cost. There's not a lot of commitment. If you miss with someone, it's okay. And it's so the goal is like a surface area, more chances to find a real fit. So you are, and it feels a little more organic, natural, uh, but it's like meet everyone you can. I talked this. over with a friend of mine who is in finance, and he graduated from University of Chicago, and he said uh, when he's in sales now, he's like try to have a coffee, go out for a lunch every day, yeah, or go for coffee every day. It's that is the idea of very intentional, but I think the funnel approach is like try to have as many connections as you can, and that could be very situational, like a convention or a large meeting. Now, where uh, where there's a little more at stake with a network would be the filter. You follow up only when there's a real connection point. There's a lot more cost in terms of your time and a high commitment, but the goal is really kind of getting in depth and hoping that a few relationships that will compound. Could be mentoring, could be a project idea. So you're kind of going from like a wide approach into uh, being mindful of like how can I really kind of get into connecting with these people. And in terms of making the connection, um, it's 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 really trying to find connection points that are worth referencing later. And the idea is uh, not to do small talk, which I used to struggle with that with sales. I would meet someone, and then I was young and I didn't feel um, confident to kind of drop down and really talk about something that's interesting and passionate. Instead, I would just try to do kind of surfacey talk and then maybe try to do a sales pitch. But real networking where there's a connection is that you're dropping into this kind of place that, you're asking them about what's really inspiring them, what brought them here, what are they trying to get out of it? Maybe that might be where they are in their career, or a little bit like we do here, a problem that you're having that maybe they could help you with. And then you're moving into this kind of listening place for signals, a problem, a challenge, a mutual contact, overlapping of interest, um, and then uh, and then finding this meaningful way to help each other. So you're again, it feels like you're kind of going from this shotgun approach, wide approach into like narrowing it down, getting more in depth, being very intentional about the conversations and looking for the deeper connections. And that's where the relationships will last. What one idea that Caleb asked is also, what are some of the ideas like staying connected? Um, and this is this seems a little prescriptive, but you definitely want to follow up at least with like a 48-hour uh, follow-up. A note, usually through LinkedIn, or a handwritten note. It's very personal touch. If with someone within the company, reference the thing that you talked about. Um, that brings kind of the inspiration to it, and it wasn't just like a waste of time. And skip the hey, it was great meeting you, um, and and move into uh, again what that connection point. And one of the things that I share with a lot of my clients is do not assume that you are a burden by taking someone's time, especially with a mentoring opportunity, uh, um, or reaching out to someone through LinkedIn. Uh, a lot of potential mentors love that when someone's reaching out. And for those of us who are younger in the group, or those of you who are younger in the group, never assume that you're a burden. Always feel like you are worthy. Your time is worthy, and that the relationship will be worthy. And then the hardest thing always is like, how do you, once you make that connection, if it's not a sales situation where there are natural kind of, it's monetized and there's a contract, how do you stay in touch with people that you feel like there's a connection, but uh, there's not business around it yet? And so there's the immediate contact, but there's also maybe like a quarterly touch every 3 months. Share an article. I mean, how cool is that? Definitely congratulate a win. I'm telling you, I'm surprised how many people, if they're not, if they're doing their own LinkedIn, when you congratulate, like, hey, great job with that on LinkedIn, it's surprising how many people really remember that. And so it's a great way to stay connected, at least, with a follow-up every 3 months. And then in a personal way, asking how something may have turned out. And uh, and then you really use LinkedIn with this, a wide end approach. Um, uh, it's low cost, keeps the doors wide open, and then again the quarterly touch. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and maybe we can have some questions or what's coming up for us around this kind of networking concept.